The pen made a thin, embarrassing squeal every time I tried to write, like it was protesting my grip. Sweat slicked the cheap rubber barrel and I had to pause twice just to steady my hand. Across the narrow kitchen table, Harper watched me the way people watch someone handling live wires. Alert but calm. She had her dark hair pinned up with a pencil, sleeves rolled past her elbows, posture straight without being stiff. She wore the expression of someone confident they could assemble an entire bookshelf without glancing at the instructions even once. Sunlight filtered through the bent blinds, striping the kitchen in pale gold and shadow. "Relax," she said gently. "You're not signing your soul away. It's just paperwork." "It doesn't feel like just paperwork," I muttered, immediately annoyed with myself for sounding theatrical. I was 24 and looked sturdier than I felt. Tall, long-limbed, built like I should be good at lifting heavy things and making firm decisions. My shoulders were narrow, my hair permanently undecided between curls and waves. People saw me and assumed competence, stability, direction. They were wrong. Harper was 26 and carried herself in a way that quietly demanded respect. You straightened your back around her without realizing you'd slouched. There was a thin scar on her chin she claimed came from childhood bravery, which I suspected meant she jumped off something she shouldn't have. Her nails were clipped short, bare of polish. Her eyes were sharp but not unkind. The rare kind of sharp that made you feel noticed instead of exposed. Between us lay a single sheet of paper titled Roommate Agreement. Harper loved structure the way some people loved comfort food. "You've read it twice," she said, tapping the page. "Nothing weird. Bills, cleaning, noise levels. The important part is the privacy section." My eyes dropped to the paragraph we'd written together 2 nights earlier, hunched over the same table while the upstairs neighbor practiced bass like it was a cry for help. Harper had spoken. I'd typed. She said my keyboard sounded less aggressive than hers. Respect each other's privacy. No entering bedrooms without permission. No searching through personal belongings. Closed doors require knocking. No means no. Basic stuff. Obvious stuff. The kind of rules you assumed grown adults followed instinctively. "Assumptions kill roommate situations," Harper had said. I swallowed. "I get it. It's not just rules," she added, her voice softer now. "It's supposed to make this feel like a place you can exist. Like you can breathe." Something tightened in my chest. "I can breathe," I said, knowing it was a lie the moment it left my mouth. Harper didn't challenge me. She slid her pen across the table instead. I stared at the printed name on the line. Theodore Keller. Theo. It looked like someone else's name. Someone organized. Someone with a vacuumed car and socks that matched on purpose. I signed. Harper signed next, quick, confident, her name looping like she trusted it to land correctly. She tore the page cleanly, filed her copy into a folder labeled Apartment and smiled. "Hey. Now the real fight begins," she said. "Top shelf in the fridge." "You can have it," I said immediately. She blinked. "Theo. It's fine. I don't need much room." "That," she said, leaning back, studying me, "is not generosity. That's avoidance." I smiled, reflexive and thin. "I'm just easy." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Easy is fine. Erasing yourself isn't." I laughed too fast. Message received. At the time I thought the agreement meant safety. Protection from the classic roommate disasters. Petty notes, stolen leftovers, loud hookups, silent wars over dirty dishes. I didn't think about keys. 3 days later, Thursday, I was home alone. My shift at the print shop didn't start until noon. Harper had already left for the clinic. The apartment hummed softly, the fridge providing the only company I hadn't asked for. I sat on the edge of my bed with my door closed, staring at my open closet. I hadn't meant to open it. I hadn't planned anything. I was just checking. Like if everything was in its place, my thoughts might fall in line too. Behind my work hoodies and the puffy winter coat I avoided because it swallowed me whole was a second row of hangers. Clothes I only touched when I was alone. When the noise in my head quieted enough to let me feel things properly. A navy skirt that brushed my knees. A cream sweater with sleeves deliberately too long. A simple black dress. Elegant, unremarkable, safe. A package of tights I'd bought and never opened. I didn't have the language for what it meant. Not the kind people demanded, anyway. I only knew that sometimes when the world felt abrasive, these clothes softened it. Like my skin fit better. Like my body belonged to me briefly instead of being a billboard for other people's assumptions. I had just lifted the cream sweater from its hanger when the sound hit me. The front door unlocking. My brain scrambled for excuses. Harper forgetting something. Harper coming back early. Then the footsteps landed, heavy, unhurried. A man's voice filled the living room. "Hello, Mr. Baines." My stomach dropped. Mr. Baines. Our landlord. Late 50s. Always dressed like he might be photographed at any moment. Mustache stiff with spite. He spoke to tenants the way you spoke to rental equipment. He hadn't called. He hadn't texted. He'd just let himself in. I shoved the sweater back, fingers clumsy, pulse hammering. The closet door was still open. My bedroom door was closed, but unlocked. Then up. The door opened all the way and Mr. Baines filled the frame, his body cutting off the hallway light. The room dimmed instantly. He smelled like sharp aftershave and something cold and metallic, the way loose change smells after sitting in a pocket too long. His eyes went to me first. Then they slid past me. Then they stopped. At the closet. His eyebrows lifted. Ah. Heat rushed up my neck so fast it made me dizzy. I moved on instinct, stepping in front of the closet like a spooked animal, even though it was already too late. The cream sweater peeked out behind my shoulder. A strip of navy fabric. The edge of the black dress. "What are you doing?" I asked. My voice sounded thin, almost hollow. "You can't just walk in here." Mr. Baines stepped fully into my room, casual, unbothered, like my words hadn't even reached him. "I can enter my property when necessary," he said. "Routine inspection. Just making sure things are in order." His gaze skimmed over me again, slow this time, before drifting back to the closet, drawn there like it had weight. "Please leave," I said. I hated how it came out wrong. Soft. Like permission instead of refusal. He didn't leave. He moved closer and before I could react his hand reached past mine and pulled the closet door open wider, brushing my fingers aside like they weren't there. The hangers clacked together. Fabric shifted. My stomach twisted violently like my body was trying to fold in on itself. Mr. Baines made a low noise, half chuckle, half something uglier. "Well," he said, "that explains a few things." "What things?" My voice cracked. He glanced at me the way you look at a stain you've just noticed. "No wonder you keep to yourself. Thought you were just shy." My hands curled into fists so tight my nails dug into my skin. "This is private," I said. "You need to get out." He lifted one hanger, the black dress, pinching it delicately between two fingers, like he didn't want it contaminating him. "Private," he said. "In my unit? I have standards." The room rang in my ears. All I could see was his hand holding the dress, the fabric drooping, exposed like it had done something wrong. "You don't touch my things," I said louder now, panic forcing the sound out of me. "Get out. Now." For a moment he hesitated. I could see him calculating, deciding how much resistance I would cause. Then he placed the hanger back, overly careful, like he was making a show of restraint. "All right," he said. "No need to get emotional. I'm just doing my job." He crossed the room and lifted the blinds, peering outside as if he were inspecting evidence. Then he turned back toward me, his voice shifting into something falsely calm. "Listen. I'm a reasonable man. I don't want trouble. And you don't want trouble either. So let's keep things appropriate." The word made my chest feel tight. "Appropriate," I repeated. He nodded toward the closet without looking at it. "That stuff. Keep it out of sight. This is a respectable building. Families live here." "My roommate is at work," I said suddenly, grasping at anything that wasn't the closet. "You didn't give notice. You can't just come into our apartment." Mr. Baines smiled, but there was nothing kind in it. It was sharp. Deliberate. "You signed a lease with me," he said. "I have keys. I can enter for maintenance and inspections." "That's not how it works," I said, surprising myself. His smile tightened. "Careful, Theo." Hearing my name from him felt contaminating. He walked past me toward the door. When he reached it, he paused, his hand resting on the knob. "I'll be back next week," he said. "There are a few concerns I'll need to check. Smoke detectors. Plumbing. Things like that." His eyes dragged over me slowly. "And Theo," he added quietly like a confidence, "I can always find a reason to terminate a lease if I need to." I'd rather not. It's inconvenient for everyone. Then he left, closing the door behind him as if he hadn't just stepped into something fragile and crushed it underfoot. I stood there staring at the door, my hands shaking so badly my wrists ached. The closet was still open. Everything exposed. The cream sweater hung there peacefully, unaware it had just been turned into proof in someone else's judgment. I sank onto the bed and pressed my palms into my eyes until sparks burst behind my lids. When Harper came home that night, I was curled up on the couch, knees pulled to my chest, a show playing that I couldn't tell you a single detail about. The living room was dim, shadowed like it was trying to hide me. Harper dropped her bag by the door and stopped short. "What happened?" she asked. No hello. No easing in. I swallowed. Mr. Baines came by. Her expression sharpened instantly. He did what? He let himself in. Said it was an inspection. Did he give notice? No. Her jaw set. Did you tell him to leave? Yes. And did he? Eventually. She stepped closer. Theo, you look like you just watched something terrible happen. I stared at my hands. The next words felt too heavy, too humiliating to move. Harper didn't rush me. She didn't soften the silence or guess. She waited. He opened my closet, I said finally. She blinked once. Hey. That alone is not acceptable. And, I added quietly, he saw things. Her face softened for a fraction of a second, then hardened completely, the anger clearly not meant for me. What kind of things? She asked carefully. I exhaled shakily. Clothes. She nodded once. And he touched them? She asked. Yes. Her hands clenched. I'm going to destroy him. I flinched. Harper, please. No, she paced once like a caged animal. He entered without notice. He went into your room. He handled your personal belongings. And he threatened you. He didn't threaten me, I said automatically, my brain still trying to make it smaller. Harper stopped and looked at me directly. What did he say? Her voice was gentle now. Theo, tell me. So I did. The part about standards. Families. Keeping things appropriate. The part where he said he could end the lease if he wanted to. When I finished, Harper stood very still like she was holding herself back from doing something reckless. Then she pulled out her phone. What are you doing? I asked, my stomach tightening again. Documenting it, she said. Date. Time. Exactly what he said. Exactly what he did. Why? Because when he does it again we'll have proof. When, I echoed. She looked up at me. Men like that don't stop. They like the power too much. I rubbed my palms against my jeans. I don't want to make this worse. Harper met my eyes. Theo, he made it worse the moment he unlocked our door. I sank deeper into the couch, feeling smaller than I had all day. If we push back, he'll come after us. He already is, Harper said without hesitation. He saw something he didn't approve of, and now he's trying to scare you into rearranging yourself to fit his comfort. That is retaliation. The word landed hard. Retaliation sounded formal, documented, like something that could be highlighted, proven, stamped with authority. Made my stomach knot. I just want to finish the lease, I said quietly. Keep our heads down until it's over. Harper's face didn't soften, but her voice did. I know you want to vanish. I get that instinct. But I'm not going to do that. I didn't ask you to, I snapped, then immediately hated myself for how it came out, like she was the problem instead of the fear choking me. Harper didn't bristle. She didn't argue. Then let's find a way to keep you safe without you having to erase yourself, she said. Safe. The word pressed into something sore inside my chest. Harper crossed to the counter, pulled the apartment folder free and opened the lease. She flipped pages with practiced ease, like she'd already memorized it. Entry, she said. He needs notice unless it's an emergency. He's prohibited from harassment. And we're entitled to quiet enjoyment. She looked up, anger sharp and bright. He violated all of that. My throat tightened. So what do we do? Her smile was thin, determined. We document everything. We keep communication in writing. We set boundaries. And if he tries to intimidate you again, I go nuclear, with emails and statutes, not baseball bats. A laugh escaped me, half panic, half relief. Paperwork nuclear, I said. Exactly. Harper sat across from me, her tone lowering. Theo, I need you to hear this clearly. I don't care what clothes you own. I care that you're allowed to live in your own home without being treated like you've committed a crime. My throat closed up. I nodded once because speaking felt dangerous, like I might cry if I opened my mouth. The next week felt like living under a suspended storm cloud. Every sound in the hallway made my muscles tighten. Every creak of the building sent my thoughts straight to Mr. Baines's hand on the lock. I started wearing headphones even when nothing was playing like armor. I moved my clothes, not because I wanted to but because the thought of him seeing them again made my skin crawl. The dress and skirt went into a storage bin, buried under blankets, shoved beneath my bed. The sweater went into a backpack. I hated myself for it. Hated how fear reorganized my life without asking permission. But fear is efficient. It doesn't negotiate. Harper noticed the bin one night when she knocked. Twice, always twice, before stepping into my room to borrow a charger. She paused, took it in and said nothing. You don't have to hide from me, she said gently. I'm not, I lied. She held my gaze for a second, then nodded like she understood I wasn't ready to tell the truth yet. On Tuesday, Mr. Baines texted Harper. Not me. He never texted me. With me he preferred proximity, places where he could watch me shrink. Harper's phone buzzed while we were eating. She glanced down and her expression changed immediately. What? I asked. She turned the screen toward me. Inspection tomorrow. 10 a.m. Be available. No greeting. No explanation. No question. My stomach dropped. He can't just announce it like that. Harper's smile sharpened. Watch me. She typed. Please provide at least 24 hours written notice and the reason for entry as required by the lease and local law. We do not consent to entry into bedrooms or closets during a general inspection. Thank you. She hit send and looked at me. If he wants to act like a landlord, he can follow the rules. My hands were shaking. What if he comes anyway? Then we don't open the door, Harper said. If he enters without consent, we report it. Report it to who? Her eyes didn't waver. Non-emergency. Legal aid. Depends how he behaves. The words legal aid made my brain stall. That was for people on the news. Not me. Not someone who printed flyers and tried to stay invisible. Wednesday morning I called in sick. Harper raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. Stay, she said. If he shows up, we face it together. At 9:58 we stood in the living room like patients waiting for bad news. Harper held her phone, camera already recording. I feel ridiculous, I whispered. You feel threatened, she corrected. That's not the same thing. At 10:03 there was a knock. Not polite. Authoritative. Harper stepped closer to the door. Who is it? Landlord. Mr. Baines's voice came through, muffled but unmistakable. Open up. She didn't move. What's the reason for entry? Pause. Then irritation. Inspection. Harper glanced at me like, see? You didn't give 24 hours notice, she said evenly. We don't consent to entry right now. You can't deny me access, he snapped. We can, Harper replied. And we are. Keys jingled. My stomach turned to liquid. Harper, I breathed. If you unlock that door, she said calmly, I will call the police. Do you understand? Silence. Then quietly, you're making a mistake. You are, Harper said. I held my breath until my chest hurt. Footsteps retreated. The hallway went still. Harper waited a full minute before stopping the recording. Then she exhaled. See? He doesn't want witnesses. He wants you alone. My knees gave out. I dropped onto the couch. This is harassment, Harper said, anger flaring again. He's testing boundaries. He's going to hate us, I said because my brain still believed that was the worst possible outcome. Harper looked at me softly. Theo, he already hates a version of you he invented. That's not yours to fix. That night I called my brother. Zach picked up on the third ring, breathing hard like he'd been moving. Construction noises hummed faintly in the background. Hey, he said. Everything okay? Not really. The TV volume dropped. What's going on? I told him about the inspection. Not everything. Just the illegal entry. The threat. Can he do that? Zach asked. No, I said. And for the first time the word didn't feel small. Harper said no and he did it anyway? Yeah. Zach exhaled slowly. Hey. Harper's your roommate, right? Yeah, I said. She's solid. Really solid. Another pause settled between us. So what do you want me to do? He asked. The question landed heavier than I expected. I didn't have an answer ready. What I wanted wasn't something he could give me in a sentence. I wanted a door that locked from the inside. I wanted my closet to go back to being just a closet. I wanted to stop feeling like my life was balanced on a trapdoor. I don't know, I said finally. I guess. If things get worse, can I stay with you for a bit? He didn't hesitate. Yeah. Absolutely. Anytime. Couch sucks, but it's yours. Relief hit so fast my eyes stung. Thanks. Then his voice shifted, careful now. So what's Baines's deal? Why is he singling you out? My stomach tightened. I could have dodged it. Blamed noise complaints. Claimed it was random. But I was tired of carrying it alone. He saw my clothes, I said quietly. Silence. Your clothes. Zach repeated like he was parsing unfamiliar grammar. Not my work stuff, I said, hating how exposed the explanation felt. Just other clothes. What kind of other clothes? His tone sharpened, confusion tipping toward something else. I closed my eyes. Women's clothes. The silence stretched longer this time. Then Zach breathed out. Theo. I know, I rushed in. I know how it sounds. Why are you doing that? He asked. It wasn't pure anger. More like worry tangled up with judgment and fear he didn't know where to put. It's just clothes, I said, my voice unsteady. It's not hurting anyone. It can hurt you, he said quietly. It clearly already has. It's not the clothes, I snapped, then immediately wished I could pull the words back. It's him. It's the landlord. Zach went quiet again. When he spoke, his voice was cautious. I'm not trying to be an ass. People can be brutal. Maybe, don't do that stuff for now. At least until you're out of there. The words were familiar. Heavy. Settled deep. Maybe just don't. Maybe just be normal. Maybe erase the parts that draw attention. I stared at the wall. Yeah, I said, because it was easier than arguing. You can stay with me if you need to, Zach said gently. I mean it. Just don't make things harder than they already are. After we hung up, I sat on my bed and stared at the storage bin under it like it was judging me. Maybe just don't. I'd already hidden everything. Already made myself smaller. And it hadn't protected me. It had just made me feel like I was the problem that needed to be boxed up. The next day, Mr. Baines left a note taped to our door. Not official. Handwritten in blocky letters meant to look authoritative. Inspection required. Failure to cooperate will result in lease review. Harper read it once and snorted. Lease review, she said. He thinks he's a court. My stomach knotted. What if he actually tries to evict us? Her expression shifted from amused to focused. Then he does it legally. And we show the pattern. And if we have to move, we do it on our terms. I don't want to move, I said, my voice cracking. Moving meant boxes. Deposits. New landlords. New hallways. New ways to be seen wrong. I wanted stability the way starving people wanted food. Harper looked at me. I don't want to move either. But I want you safe more than I want cheap rent. That word again. Safe. It was starting to sound like Harper was teaching my brain a language it had never learned. That weekend she came home with a folder and dropped it on the table. Okay, she said. Operation Paperwork Nuclear. I stared. What is that? She opened it. Inside were printed tenant rights pages, highlighted clauses, screenshots of Mr. Baines's texts, a typed timeline, and a blank form titled Landlord Entry and Contact Log. I blinked. You made a log? I absolutely made a log, she said. And I researched tenant rights. Repeated unwanted entry and threats can count as harassment. Notice is required for non-emergency access. I felt both grateful and overwhelmed. You really went all in. And we're only communicating in writing from now on, she added. Email only. If he wants to talk, he can put it somewhere it can be saved. He's going to be pissed, I said. Anger isn't a legal defense, Harper replied calmly. I rubbed my face. I don't know if I can do this. She leaned forward, elbows on the table. Theo, I need you to answer something honestly. My chest tightened. Okay. Are you afraid to fight this because you hate conflict? She asked gently, or because you think you deserve what he's doing? The question landed so close it blurred my vision. I don't, I said too fast. She held my gaze. You don't deserve it. Say it. My mouth opened. Nothing came out. Harper didn't look away. She didn't let me hide behind jokes or silence. You do not deserve to be threatened for what you wear in your own room, she said evenly. My throat burned. I swallowed hard. I don't deserve it. She nodded once like we'd just signed another agreement. Good. Then we act like it. On Monday, Harper sent an email from a shared account she'd created. Tenants Unit 3B. She read it aloud before sending. Dear Mr. Baines, she began, formal as a bank letter. On Thursday, January 8th, at approximately 11:15 a.m., you entered our apartment without prior notice while one tenant was home. You opened a closed bedroom door, entered a private room without permission, and accessed a tenant's personal belongings by opening a closet and handling clothing. This entry was not related to an emergency. She paused and looked at me. Anything else? My stomach flipped. I wanted to keep it vague, but the closet was the reason for everything. Add that he commented on what he saw, I said. Like it wasn't allowed. Harper nodded, typing. And that you made remarks regarding a tenant's personal clothing and implied that the lease could be terminated based on lifestyle choices, which is inappropriate and potentially discriminatory. She hit save. And for the first time since this started, it felt like we were writing the story instead of just surviving it. The word discriminatory crawled under my skin. It sounded legal, dangerous, like something that summoned consequences just by being said out loud. Harper hit send anyway. I stared at the phone like it might vibrate itself apart. 2 hours later the reply came. I do not appreciate false accusations. I have the right to inspect my property. If that is a problem, you are free to leave at the end of your lease. Harper read it once, then let out a short laugh. Wow. Bold. He didn't deny it, I said quietly. Nope, she replied. Because he doesn't think he has to. And that was when it escalated. That week, Mr. Baines began appearing like a ghost with keys. Sometimes he knocked and waited far too long, just standing there so we'd feel him on the other side of the door. Sometimes he left notes. Sometimes he called Harper and hung up before she could answer. One afternoon, I came home from work and found him in the hallway, leaning against the wall beside our door like he belonged there. My chest slammed hard. Theo, he said, overly friendly. Got a minute? The hall felt smaller suddenly. The air felt thick. His aftershave burned my nose. I'm busy, I lied. He smiled and stepped closer. Just want to talk. What do you want? I asked. I've been a landlord a long time, he said casually. I know when tenants bring trouble. I see the signs. Secretive behavior. Unusual hobbies. I pay rent, I said. He waved that away. This building has a reputation. I keep it respectable. Something tightened in my chest. Are you saying I'm not? His eyes slid over me, slow and deliberate. I'm saying I don't want situations. There aren't any. Then prove it, he said softly. Keep things private. And tell your roommate to remember this isn't her place. She's on the lease, I said. His smile vanished. Careful. My instinct screamed to shrink, apologize, disappear. Instead I pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking but I held it up anyway. I'm documenting this, I said. Please step away. Something flickered across his face. Calculation replacing irritation. He stepped back immediately. You people are always looking for conflict, he muttered, walking away. I stood there shaking long after he was gone. When Harper got home she didn't lecture me. She sat beside me and made me repeat every word while she typed it all into the log. You pulled out your phone, she said, proud. I didn't even record, I admitted. You didn't have to, she said. You shifted the balance. 2 days later, a letter appeared taped to our door. Your lease may be terminated due to non-compliance. My stomach dropped. Harper read it and snorted. This isn't even legal. It's a scare tactic. But what if he files something real? Then we respond. Not panic. She called the tenants' union. Then legal aid. Then kept calling until someone answered. When she hung up, she looked satisfied. They said this is classic intimidation. The word unsafe came up again. It burned my throat. That night I went to Zach's place. He listened quietly, jaw tight. "You can crash here," he said. "Anytime." Part of me wanted to accept immediately. Another part was tired of running. "Harper wants to fight it," I said. "Document everything." Zach sighed. "Sometimes leaving is smart. And sometimes it's surrender," I said, surprised by my own anger. He didn't argue. Just nodded. "You've got to choose what you can handle." On the drive home I realized something painful. I had always chosen less. Less space. Less visibility. Less myself. And it still hadn't kept me safe. The next time Mr. Baines tried to enter, we were ready. We didn't open the door. "Provide written notice," Harper said calmly. "This isn't an emergency." "Fire safety," he snapped. "Is there smoke?" she asked. "Is there a fire?" Silence. I spoke up then. "We are recording. Do not attempt to enter." That did it. He backed off, furious. Afterward, Harper drafted a formal demand letter. We signed it together. She mailed it certified. She uploaded everything to a folder labeled Baines. "This," she said, "is what safety looks like." For a while it was quiet. Then the heat stopped working. Late fee notices appeared despite receipts. Retaliation plain as day. "He's panicking," Harper said. "And giving us proof." Legal aid confirmed it. We had options. The final straw came on a Sunday morning. A key turned in our lock. Harper flung the door open before he could enter. "Leave. Now." "I own this building," he said. "And we live here," she replied. "Legally." I stepped beside her. My voice shook, but I spoke anyway. "My room is not your business." For the first time he hesitated. He left. That afternoon we decided to move. Not because he won, but because we refused to wait for something worse. We negotiated early termination. We documented everything. Legal aid made him cautious. We got most of our deposit back. It wasn't justice. It was survival with receipts. In the new apartment the closet was bigger. Neutral. Just a closet. I took out the cream sweater and hesitated. Harper smiled. "It's nice." I hung it up. The door stayed open. Later, eating pizza on the floor, Harper raised her slice. "To new locks." "To notice," I added. "And to not disappearing," she said. I realized then. Secrecy had never been safety. It was just fear dressed up as strategy. Safety was space. Witnesses. People who didn't ask me to become smaller. And I was done confusing shrinking with surviving.